in this conference.
And on a Wednesday night, recognizing the opportunity, they have a lot of recruits on the sidelines here at Cincinnati tonight. So you know he wants to impress the national audience, but more importantly, the guys that he has in as recruits right now.
Underway, and Vaughn Rivers returns the kick from Kevin Lovell. Bearcats cover him at the 20, return of 18. And Pat White will make his second collegiate start. His first could hardly have been more impressive last week against UConn. He engineered an easy win, was effective through the air, and Craig was at times spectacular on the ground. He's got a burst that you really have to see to appreciate.
But you and I, we've talked about it. The best play he made last week was once a reverse field by one of the ball carriers, and he came back and crack blocked somebody on defense, and the bench erupted.
People are already saying that may be the signature play of his career, and he's just getting started. Option, Slayton looks to turn the corner, gets about 6 out of it. As we look at the West Virginia starters along with White, you just saw Slayton, Jallow, Miles, Renaud, and Bailey, who was out with an ankle last week, returns healthy tonight at tight end. Up front, Garrett, Stanchek, Moses, Sheffy, and Justice. This is the top rushing attack in the Big East, and among the best in the country. At about 239 yards per game. A flag and whistles before they come to line on second down, and what will be about 3.
Prior to snap, false start, number 76 on the offense, 5-yard penalty, remains second down.
Dan Moses is flagged by Dennis Hennigan, our referee tonight. Defensively, Anthony Hoke gets a start. They move him between the line and linebackers. He's at end tonight with Newton, Bird, and Roberts. Smith, McCullough, Craig are the linebacking core, and then the secondary, Horton, Ross, Nakamura, and Mickens. Mickens, one of their 5 true freshman starters on this side of the ball, second in the nation in passes defensed per game. Slayton tries to reverse field. Disastrous decision by Steve Slayton. They will mark his progress at the 11.
Well, there's good coaching right there. Cincinnati smelled that out. A little screen out to the outside, really trying to get Slayton on the outside with his speed. But you'll notice that the Bearcats defense, look at all the black shirts getting across the line of scrimmage. They're not allowing the block out to occur from the inside with the blockers. So good recognition of not getting it stuck at home and blown up on the outside.
Loss of 10, 3rd and 18. And more flags. Cincinnati has a defender very late coming off the field. Angelo Craig, the sophomore linebacker.
Illegal substitution, number 82 on the defense, 5-yard penalty, remains third down.
Well, D'Antonio's plan to start Craig, not play him long, and sure enough, as he tries to hustle off the field on 3rd and 18, they get flagged for the substitution violation, so now 3rd and 13.
Young defense, but a defense that will play with aggression.
10 freshmen on the 22-man defensive 2 deep for the Bearcats. They've gotten a little bit better every week. Quarterback draw, White out in space where he is most dangerous, and he picks up the first down and about 4 yards to spare. 17 yards.
Well, one of the things that quarterbacks have to have today is the ability to get out of the pocket and not happen with their arms but with their legs. Pat White last week has shown on game film at least, and Cincinnati's been aware of it, his ability to break the containment and go. He's fast. There's different angles you'll have to take. He's deceptive fast with his speed. He's not like Steve Slayton, but he can run.
So they overcome a 3rd and 18 and have a 1st and 10 at their 33. And a big fullback, Owen Schmidt, who was a little banged up last week, very effective against UConn, but bruised a thigh on one of his first couple of carries in that game. Slayton coming off a slight hip pointer, but both cleared pretty early on in the week to play tonight.
Schmidt, last week we had a chance to show his face mask from one of the games that sits in the office of Rich Rodriguez. It's bent. He likes to hit you.
He goes through a face mask a week if he plays the way they expect him to play. And through the middle, Slayton. Nice fake carried out. Fake to Darius Renaud on the end around. And Slayton just across the 40 to set up a 3rd and short, about 2.5.
We had a chance to do West Virginia last week, and watching their offensive line, the way they work together, between the balance of Slayton's running ability and the Pat White arm and running ability, defensively you're really challenged to stay and cover the entire field.
Cincinnati hopes to keep 9 in the box as often as possible tonight, as again White forced to scramble, runs out of room, pulls up, fires. And the pass is brought in by Brandon Miles after Antoine Horton thought he had defensed it, and it's 37 yards. To the Mountaineers' leading receiver, Brandon Miles.
Well, first of all, the amount of time that was bought in the backfield by Pat White to throw, rolling right as a left-hander, and then Miles, it's just remarkable. What a shot to the jaw there. But White gets the ball down the field, and then Miles goes up with a little jump ball drill. Beats Horton.
9th catch this year of 20 or more yards for Brandon Miles. So the Mountaineers first down the Bearcat 23. And banging his way inside the 20 to the 18 is Slayton.
I like that. From tackle to tackle, you can't be just a dancer. To be a good runner, you have to have the ability to break the arm tackles. And many times you'll see good young runners with a lot of speed like Slayton. They want to do it with their feet all the time and outrun you. But this guy here can run through you too.
Does not run like a 5'10", 185-pounder. A lot more powerful than you'd think. And he cuts this one up. Drags a tackler inside the 10, and a late flag comes. As Slayton may have West Virginia as we wait for the indication on the marker, set up for 1st and goal. Dominic Ross, the strong safety, the man Slayton was dragging down to the 9.
Face mask, number 39 on the defense. Penalty is half the distance to the goal. First down.
And the face mask by Jones comes in late, right at the end of the play. You'll see Jones come in, kind of the secondary tackler. But there's that strength that you just mentioned about Slayton running behind his pads. Hard to get to his legs.
Slayton may have a face mask that looks like Owen Schmidt's. A few more of those. So Taiwan Jones flagged. First 5 games he didn't score, and he's made up for lost time since. 7 in his last 3. So 1st and goal. The Mountaineers at the 5-yard line on this opening possession of the game. And going in, standing up for the touchdown is Slayton. His 8th of this true freshman year out of Levittown, Pennsylvania. Originally committed to Maryland. They decommitted him. And West Virginia could not have been happier to pick him up, bring him down to Morgantown, and he has the Mountaineers on top 6-0. Pat McAfee has hit all but one of his 29 extra points on the year, and it's 7-0. Slayton showed us his speed, he showed us his power, and comes right at us with his intensity as he gets West Virginia off to a fast start tonight. Steve Slayton had 0 yards in 3 of the Mountaineers' first 4 games. 2 games ago, 188 yards, and tied the Big East record with 6 touchdowns, including all 3 of their overtime scores in West Virginia's 46-44 win over Louisville. And the first touchdown tonight belongs to Slayton. Mike Daniels to the 27, and Cincinnati will have its first possession. And redshirt freshman out of Maysville, Kentucky, Dustin Grutza will lead the Bearcats out. Cincinnati committed him and had to hold on with a late charge coming from his home state, Kentucky Wildcats. He decided to stay a Bearcat. His coordinator, Don Treadwell, says his development really still an ongoing process, and he'll probably keep saying that in the next couple of years, but they're very encouraged with his start. 53% passer, 8 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, but 5 of those were very early, all in the same game. And like most of the rest of the Bearcat freshmen on both sides of the ball, every game you see major development. Bradley Glodar, sophomore tailback from here in Cincinnati, with a first carry.
The ball carrier.
Glodar at 506 yards, their leading rusher. Doug Jones may be the biggest fullback in the country, 282 pounds. Jackson Ross Selleck, one of the best tight ends in the nation. And up front, Eastlake, by far their most experienced blocker, 33rd straight start. The rest of that line totals 33 starts.
How about that start there? This is a patient Cincinnati offense. They don't mind on 2nd and 8 running the ball again.
First toss, Dominic Goodman. Another Cincinnati product. True freshman, high school All-America quarterback. West Virginia plays a 3-3-5. And their 3 linemen are Dykes, Hunter, and Wilson. Linebackers are Doschel, Henry, and McLee. And they're always in a nickel if they're in their base set with McCann, Wicks, Lorello, Adai, and Mims.
You know, you mentioned the 3-3, you know, whatever the other number is, but they still have lots of folks that get around the football at the snap. You see 6 in there right now, but they will bunch it. They try to get tight to the scrimmage.
Boots on first down. Again, throws wide. Maybe a yard on the first grab of the night by Derek Ross. Eric Wicks quickly there on him, the strong safety from Pittsburgh. Cincinnati, Greg, at 4-4, 2 wins away from a bowl. If they go, they hope it's at least 20 degrees, because if it's 20 or hotter, it will be better conditions than you saw them play in the Fort Worth Bowl last year.
I'm telling you, last year I had Sean McDonough as my partner. I said, Sean, man, you're going to love Fort Worth. It's going to be warm. We'll play Colonial. The pipes were frozen in the press box. It was terrible.
Although up until then, they said it was pretty nice. Slamming is Greg Moore, who backs up Glodar, their second leading rusher, about 270 yards, 5.5 per carry. Junior from Dayton.
You know what? You'd mentioned it's a young Cincinnati football team, so early on you think, well, maybe they're just not going to be that good. But you have to think back to the foundation. Mark D'Antonio has really gone out and he's put together a coaching staff that we'll talk about tonight that is consistent, and he's got a foundation of athletes. Rich Rodriguez said, hey, they're as talented as we are.
Only other Ohio college program at a BCS conference, of course, Ohio State. As Grutza picks up the blitz, and with the second effort, this should be a Cincinnati first down on the catch by Ross, and it will be just across midfield. Let's check in with Holly Rowe.
Well, Dave, you're talking about the coaching changes here at Cincinnati. 56 different coaches rolled in here during 10 years with Rick Minter as the head coach, many taking other opportunities in the NFL and some just leaving the program. They say how that hurts them is in recruiting. They want the same guy recruiting the same area, talking to the same kids year in and year out. They think that having that consistency in their offensive staff will help them.
56 in 10 years. That's an average of half or a little better than half your staff turning over every year, Craig, as Goodman makes his second catch. And there's no program that can overcome that lack of continuity.
One of the keys to the Mountaineers' success is Rich Rodriguez keeping them together, right? Now you've got a guy like D'Antonio coming in here who's going to pay his assistants. He's going to try to keep them together, and you can't replace that. Look, every great, successful college coach who wins has a staff that stays together.
Second down and 5. Quickly into the secondary that time, Glodar, and another Cincinnati first down.
And this Cincinnati offensive line right now is matching up in the middle. They're strong. They're not allowing penetration, and the backs are running with their eyes. Which, you know what it means ultimately? Grutz is not going to have to win it with his arm.
So another first down. This is the first Bearcat possession of the night. Steve Slayton got West Virginia an early 7-0 lead. And the Bearcats are marching on a West Virginia defense that gave up only a total of 129 yards against UConn last week and only 12 on the ground. Goodman. Dominic Goodman, in a lot of ways, may be the benchmark recruit for this program because he comes from a local program, quarterbacked state champion Coleraine High School here in Cincinnati. Great running quarterback who asked to be moved to wide receiver because he figured that was his best shot to play early.
High school All-American, and when you get that type of athlete on your program with that kind of ability to move around, that means you're doing something.
On 2nd and 9, the Mountaineers are all over Greg Moore. They throw him for a loss back to the 41.
But you know, you heard me say a while ago that on 2nd and long, this is a patient offense. So West Virginia's defensive line, you see how bunched up. They're 8 or 9 around the box. They're not back thinking pass. They're expecting a patient running game. And so therefore the little chess match that's taking place right now has on that particular play, West Virginia's defense guessed right.
UConn last week did not get into positive rushing yards until well into the 4th quarter. So a 3rd and 13. And Grutza tried to get Vladar the ball on a screen. It wasn't going to go anywhere. In fact, he's probably going to lose at least 3 or 4. West Virginia had it pretty well sniffed out. Promising early drive stalls for Cincinnati. And they'll send their punter Chet Irvin out.
If you're trying to look at your offense, right, and the coordinator comes over and he's thinking to himself, all right, how do we do there? And he really did a good job. 3 and out with a freshman quarterback's not good with a lot of young guys out there. So, it's in between the numbers. West Virginia's defense bent, didn't break, but offensively you had some success that you can build on.
Irvin off a terrific game at Syracuse, averaged 46. He killed 2 on the 1-yard line, came pretty close here. He's the Big East Special Teams Player of the Week off that effort. Into the end zone here. 7-0 West Virginia, 5:43 in the first.
ESPN2's College Football Primetime is presented by the Nikon D50 Digital SLR. Incredible pictures made incredibly simple. And in part by Audi, pioneering Quattro all-wheel drive for the past 25 years. It's greater to lead than to follow.
First meeting is Big East rivals for West Virginia and Cincinnati. 7-0 Mountaineers. They have it for their second possession on their own 20. And Pat White, former 4th-round draft pick by the Angels, out of high school from Daphne, Alabama. His throw intended for Reynaud and off his hands, incomplete. Pat White said the hardest decision of his life was baseball versus football. There was sizable money on the table, but he decided to go with one sport, and the sport he picked was football. And he says he's not going to look back. He's not going to be one of these guys that tries to dabble in baseball and maybe try the minor leagues and then come back at 23, 24. He's made his commitment.
The 3rd-team quarterback here has got a big background in baseball.
J.R. House, 25-year-old freshman, former Pirates catcher. Reynaud hanging on to this one and driven out at the 28. First drive of the game, the Mountaineers marched, and a key play was White with this throw and shaking off that hit by Corey Smith.
And then the concentration, though, of the batted ball, and then the running ability of Slayton, the offensive line up front, little zone stretch, and everybody matched up. Nobody came clean defensively to even get a really good solid hit on Slayton.
3rd and 3. White looks up, sees no defender on the right side, and is run out of bounds by Smith, but not until he's got the first down and 4 extra. Tomorrow night, ESPN features 2 teams that are both undefeated in WAC conference play. Boise State looking for its 5th straight victory over number 20 Fresno State. College football primetime presented by Cooper Tires. ESPN tomorrow, 8 Eastern, also available in high definition on ESPN HD. Coverage begins with College Game Day at 7:30. We've seen both of them. That's a hard one to pick. Yeah. Maybe just go with the home team.
Home team, you'd have to think.
Not that much difference between those two.
If you're on the blue carpet, you're going Boise.
From the 34, first down, West Virginia. White well protected. And his throw this time dropped by Miles. He made the tough catch we just showed you, and this time he misses one. White laid right into his gloves.
But it was there, and it should have been caught, but it was late. White has to get back, and he saw it. He's just a count late on his throw over and the timing, but you can see that baseball, whatever it is, he's got that arm that can throw the football down the field.
He's played both sports since age 4, and that was pad football at age 4.
In the crib.
They really start early in Alabama. Oh, and Schmidt shows you why that face mask gets so gnarled. so banged up, and he goes through so many of them so quickly. That's one of the hardest earned 1-yard gains we'll see.
Oh, man, how about Dominic Ross, though, coming up, 49. Schmidt will come with it, and that's like two sandhill cranes trying to find the same hole.
Ross sets up a 3rd and 9 for the Mountaineers. Against a blitz, a diving attempt. Did he hang on? Complete at the 44-yard line for 21 yards. The catch made for West Virginia by Brandon Tate.
Wow, what a catch. Excellent blitz pickup. And Tate comes up with the catch. That one there looks like he's got it. Man, he reaches out with that right hand. The right paw just brings it in. We're going to review it here.
The previous play is under review.
I think the last angle we almost saw the entire play will be the best angle. The one from the end zone to our right. We'll show you everything we have on this dive by Tate. That one looks clean because I think he's got both hands under the ball.
Now, there's nothing conclusive enough to overturn on that shot there.
This is the one that probably is going to have the best angle, I think.
You know what, though? But his right hand is under the leather. It looked like the ball bounced, but it also looks like he has some hand under there. Oh, man, I just don't think it's conclusive enough. You know what, Dave? I don't know. You know, that's the word.
If he doesn't have control, he doesn't come
roll
up with it. It's going to pop out when he hits the turf. And again, this angle I think is going to show that he's got that right hand under it all the way and tucks it in.
I think he's got the right. Yes, you can see the glove, the grayness of the glove on the leather. I think the play stands as called on the field, and if that's the case, it would be the second 3rd down and long conversion that this offense has taken advantage of. The arm that time of Pat White.
After review, the ball hit the ground, therefore it is an incomplete pass. It will be 4th down.
What TV were they looking at? Isn't the word conclusive?
Indisputable, irrefutable, pretty much means the same thing, and this was to our eyes a catch, but not to the replay officials here, so it comes back.
I'll say this: they weren't in the booth long, were they? You know, at least they came up, made a decision.
Well, if you're diving and you don't have control, it's going to pop out when you hit the ground, isn't it? If you're in the position he was in.
For the two of us, yes.
It really meant you. Of course it's going to pop out. It's me. Phil Brady on to kick. First drive, they faced a 3rd and 18, helped out by Penley, and a deflected catch. Took it in for 7. And we'll get a violation this time, crowding Araki Nakamura, who is back waiting for the punt. 35-yard effort by Phil Brady as we wait for, again, Dennis Hennigan's call.
And kind of the over and under tonight on how many times you say Hakimura is what, 6?
Well, I hope never, because there's no Hakimura out there.
Yeah, whatever you said there.
Haruki Nakamura.
That too.
There is no penalty on the play. The kicking team member was blocked into the receiver. It will be 1st down.
Well, if that's the case, did he not touch the ball on the trying the attempted reception? Oh, interesting.
Evidently not. 7-0 in the first, West Virginia. Welcome back. ESPN2's College Football Primetime presented by Nikon. 7-0 West Virginia. 3:52 to go in the first, as the Bearcats will have their second possession start at their 34-yard line.
That offensive line, Cincinnati got to stick with it. Keep matching up front.
Cincinnati, in its last game, rolled up 223 yards a couple of weeks ago. 223 yards against then the #1 defense in the country, Connecticut. This is a team that's had 29 different players see their first collegiate action this year, including 10 true freshmen, 12 redshirt freshmen. They have started 9 different true freshmen, and this is something that Mark D'Antonio saw coming because there was a huge senior class last year. They only had 60 players in uniform for spring drills. 25 freshmen were on the way, so do the math. With 85, they had to hold that many spots out. And he decided real early that this season was going to have to be about throwing the youth out there to sink or swim very early.
Well, and if it's talented youth, it's a different thing. It doesn't matter. We've seen across the board throughout the country a lot of very talented young freshmen contributing in a big way on big teams.
Offset eye, Grutza. With Butler Benton carrying for the first time tonight. 3 different tailbacks. Bradley Glodar, Greg Moore, Butler Benton sharing time.
What a name, Butler Benton.
Sophomore from Detroit.
I like that name.
It's a tailback name.
That is a Butler Benton. And you know what? That little run there, 3 or 4 yards, didn't look fancy or anything, but that just gives you an indication of the success they're having up front with the offensive line.
From Martin Luther King High School in Detroit, city champions. It's also really obvious when you look at their roster that D'Antonio is targeting players from winning programs. As Goodman looks to cut it upfield and has a first down at the 45. Dominic Goodman from a state championship program playing here in his hometown.
Pretty nice little throw there, wasn't it? You know, it's one of those when you just say, well, that's not a nice throw. But when Grutza throws it out to the flat wide like that, leads just a little bit his receiver and allows him to get up the field. I mean, that's just a little thing that coaches appreciate and need.
Grutza in high school, Mason County High School in Kentucky, 35-6 as the starting quarterback as he hits the tight end Selleck at midfield. And let's check for more on Dustin Grutza with Holly.
Well, Dustin Grutza is such an effort guy, which coaches love, that at his high school back in Kentucky, Mason County High School, an award was named after him by his high school coach. It's called the Dustin Grutza Extra Effort Award. He got it because he was always doing things away from football, off the field, after practice, and setting example. Guys, he's continued to do that here. He said he stays after practice almost every day to throw extra balls. He's getting that Extra Effort Award here, too.
Another two-sport athlete, as White was in football, baseball. Grutza, football, basketball star, looking for the cutback angle that never materializes. Benton hit at midfield. Dustin in the basketball was 35-2 as the point guard for the state championship, and in Kentucky they throw all the divisions in, as you know Indiana is better known for doing.
He's a good athlete, and he's a competitor and a leader. You know, that's that ingredient that you can't really ever put your finger on, but you just know the kid has it. You watch him compete on a field, and it goes through the rest of that huddle.
4-point student throughout his high school career. That pass very close to being a backwards pass intended for Ernest Jackson. Incomplete. Last year, in his redshirt year, Grutza learned watching that man, Gino Gaduli. All-time passing leader here at Cincinnati.
I enjoyed getting to know him last year, and this is tonight kind of a neat thing, coming back being an honorary captain in this game, and a lot of these young men look up to him.
Irvin set to kick this one away. Wobbler, a little bit off the side of his foot. It's going to work out just fine, though. Rolling out of bounds near the 10. Pat White fills what has become really a traditional slot at West Virginia, that of the double threat quarterback. And you go back to the 80s, Major Harris, who took West Virginia to the National Championship Fiesta Bowl in 1988. Rasheed Marshall, the most recent example. Rich Rodriguez says no one has ever been faster at that position for him than Marshall, but Pat White not far behind.
And this early in his career, showing the ability to throw the football as well, that's going to open up a lot of rushing yards. Just ask Mr. Vincent Young about that. First down, give to Schmidt.
And Owen Schmidt bangs his way for a little breathing room out to the 15.
Very important series here for Cincinnati's defense with field position, a nice punt to work and to try to get it back to their offense with decent field position for them to work with. And for West Virginia, their offense, mixing it around and just finishing some plays. They've really stopped themselves more than Cincinnati stopped them.
Gets him 5, 2nd and 5. Inside the final minute of the first. And again, White calls on Schmidt. Look at that pile move forward up to the 20. It'll be 3rd and 1.
Again with the carry.
Anthony Williams. Most teams would be one of the younger defenders. As a sophomore, he's a gray beard here in Cincinnati. Schmidt, likewise a sophomore, and a walk-on transfer from Division III Wisconsin River Falls. Sat out last year, worked his way steadily up the depth chart to the point where he's become a crowd favorite, kind of a symbol of the program Rich Rodriguez has built. Now it's Slayton for the first down to the 25.
Steve Slayton, the ball carrier, brought down by Dominic Ross.
4 seconds still on the clock. Steve Slayton getting about 6 yards per carry here in the first quarter, and the only points of the game.
For the Mountaineers.
That ends the first. West Virginia looking to go 5-0 in the Big East and get Rich Rodriguez into a New Year's Bowl for the 3rd straight year. They're up 7-0. Back for the second quarter at Nippert Stadium in Cincinnati. Dave Barnett, Craig James, and Holly Rose. 7-0 West Virginia. They start the second quarter with a first down on their own 25-yard line.
A lot of yards there by West Virginia. Pretty close on time of possession. Cincinnati just hasn't had the big play yet.
Mountaineers averaging almost 6 yards per play. White turns it upfield in a foot race, dragged down at the 41 of the Bearcats. 34 yards. Dominic Ross prevents a touchdown.
You know, for a big play like this to happen, it's a designed quarterback run, no question about it. But the thing that catches my eye here is the fact that all of West Virginia's white jerseys find a black shirt. You notice everybody's down. White jersey with a black jersey, and so that allows Pat White the freedom to get down the field.
First down, West Virginia at the 41 of the Bearcats. And it's Slayton for a hard-fought couple.
Steve Slayton with the carry.
Steve Slayton,
Levittown,
Pennsylvania,
line.
for his 6th touchdown performance against Louisville. USA Today National Player of the Week. So many of these West Virginia players, 2 months ago when their season was just getting underway, people would maybe have seen a flash here or there. Now they've got a sense of just how much talent, how much young talent has been assembled here, and some lights have gone out here. In fact, only the emergency banks are still on. A little power failure at Nippert Stadium.
Oh, man.
So what we're able to see here, strictly because of the generators and what they've kicked in on the automatic system, the main lights on the far side have all gone out.
Well, you know what? It's that time of the year that you know, maybe the money hasn't come in quite yet for the second semester from all the tuition.
Yeah, part of the varsity village. They've sunk a lot of money and effort in. It will be completed next March.
This is a great place, though. First time I've been here. This is really a neat environment, and they put some money into these facilities. And you know, and one of the things Rich Rodriguez was talking about when he was down on the field before the game was the fact that he's proud and happy for the Big East, because the Big East, the schools have invested the money for the facilities like this to recruit the top players. And if you get those players into the Big East, regardless of where it's at, the Big East needs good football players. And Cincinnati's facilities here, this campus, this stadium, I mean, it's top shelf.
Well, if you look where their recruiting grounds are, Cincinnati can stay right here and get a huge chunk of their class every year. Pittsburgh can do the same. West Virginia now pretty much has established a national recruiting program up and down the East especially. So they lost major programs, but they brought in promising programs. Not a program that's at the level of a Miami or Virginia Tech yet. But what Mark D'Antonio may have going with this program in 3, 4, 5 years is there's really very little limit, he thinks, to what he can get established here.
And not sure exactly, but it's soon. Coach Rodriguez and his staff are going to take off, and they're all going down to the state of Florida recruiting. So between D'Antonio and his staff, the facilities, Rodriguez, they can recruit a pretty good distance.
Well, this entire side of the campus, beginning with the far sideline, has had a breaker problem. So it's not just here at Nippert Stadium. We're told it's going to be about 10 minutes. In the meantime, we'll break with a 7-0 game, West Virginia up. Back in Cincinnati, it is 7-0 West Virginia. First minute of the second quarter, a power outage, which is affecting not only the lights on the far side of the field, but that entire section of campus has had a breaker problem. And Holly Rowe reports that it takes 10 minutes for the lights to cool down completely, and then another 10 minutes to bring them up. So it's going to be a little while here before we resume play. Now, if you are Mark D'Antonio or Rich Rodriguez, this is like a second unscheduled halftime. If it's 20 minutes, what do you do to keep everybody loose?
Well, you keep your offensive linemen away from the snack bar and eating hot dogs, and the skill players away from the student section. You just get the guys on the sidelines and you start making some adjustments. It is a double halftime in effect, just like you said. And so you can make some adjustments based on things that you've seen so far. So it can be a bonus from a coaching standpoint. Your skilled players, they need to stay out there and throw the football, catch the ball. They need to keep their body going. So unscheduled visit like this on the sidelines can be good strategically.
Holly, what else have you been able to find out?
Well, the operations people just told me they are going to manually try to get the lights up, so it may be a little bit briefer delay than we're expecting. If the lights don't come back, there is an option that both coaches can agree to play. Now, I asked Rich Rodriguez if they could play in this light, and he said, I guess we could if we run the ball a lot. They've been running it so far, so we'll see, but hopefully they'll get the lights back up, Dave.
Yeah, you don't really have to talk them into running the ball a lot. They're running it 3/4 of the time anyway this year. So while we have some moments here as they try to get the full wattage restored here, one of the fun times of the year is now where we're deep enough into the season to kind of make some hopefully educated guesses as to how the bowls are going to be slotted. The winner of this conference is one of the leagues, of course, that sends somebody into the BCS. With the events of last week, particularly the Miami victory over Virginia Tech, it's looking more and more like the closest thing to a sense that you're going to have the matchup of USC and Texas in the Rose, and then everything falling into place from there. And West Virginia, just for example, is trying to win out to get back into what would probably be the Orange Bowl, they guess. And these are our guesses. Based on what Miami showed last week, it's hard to see them not winning the ACC. West Virginia, only unbeaten in this league, although South Florida still, like West Virginia, controls its own destiny. They have yet to meet. They had a game that was postponed because of the hurricane. This is finally going to happen on December 3rd. Penn State taking charge of the Big Ten. Texas likewise in the Big 12. USC in the Pac-10. And where we really split was the SEC. You like offense-free Alabama.
Absolutely.
Holly goes Georgia, and I go LSU.
All right, now when you talk about these assumptions, now we come in with this at-large pool. These are the schools that we feel like will be candidates to be one of the two at-large berths there. Notre Dame, everybody in the bowl business would love to have them for the TV market. Ohio State, Oregon out in the Pac-10, Texas Tech, a long shot, but they very well could work their way in. Virginia Tech, and then we believe one of the schools that doesn't make it out as the SEC champion out there, Alabama, Georgia, or LSU. But it's a fun time of the year, like you say, because this is really what the college football fan. We've followed it all season. We've been around it. We've lived it. Now you start making projections about where you think schools are going to be and who they're going to play. Ultimately, number 1 versus number 2, Texas versus USC is what everybody wants to see right now. Of course, Alabama doesn't want to see that. Alabama wants to see the fact that they're going to go out and they have a chance to play in it as well. And that might be the school that gets left out again. So you'd have back-to-back years with the SEC. It's going to be a lot of coffee talk shop if that happens.
Holly, quick update. What's your best guess now on when the lights are going to come back up?
Well, no more coffee talk shop, guys. Right now they're going to play ball. They said that if both coaches agree, they are going to play. Some of the lights have started coming back on. that they think they're moments away from getting the full banks back on. So, guys, they are ready to play ball. You can see the meeting between two head coaches at the middle of the field right now with the head referee. But if both agree, we're going to play ball.
You know, Holly, what's funny is I was standing in the middle of the field with Rodriguez before the game, and the punts are going everywhere. And a punt comes flying through the air, and everybody's hollering, hey, heads up. Rich looks up to catch the ball, and I mean, he had skillets for hands. That ball went deflecting on the other side. I said, man, you need to get on the jugs machine. So my point being, he doesn't care. He couldn't see the ball when it was light out there. So, you know, I guess he assumes his receivers have better judgment than he has.
Give him a break. He was a walk-on defensive back, okay? There was a reason they didn't put him out there at wide receiver.
And I bet he had very few interceptions in his career.
Well, we're going to put a bookmark in the SEC projection talk, and at some point you're going to have to defend your selection of Alabama, which has scored one offensive touchdown at 13 quarters.
Let me say, hey, roll Tide with that defense. They can play defense.
So after 10 minutes, back to play now, and a second down and 6 for West Virginia. White rolling left, and has a man Miles inside the 5. First and goal, second long. The White to Miles connection here in the first half. This one good for 32.
Well, so much for not being able to see the football. You know, Rich talking about not being able to see. They can run the football, so he goes out and throws it up on the first play. But it's nice execution of Pat White going and stretching. Schmidt's in the flat, and you got the deep ball down the field. So West Virginia offense, again, executing with the pass.
Much more of a run-oriented spread this year, but the pass still a dangerous weapon. And cutting it back, diving at the goal line, coughing it up. He was down, no fumble, and also no touchdown for Steve Slayton. Inches shy.
Nice call, too, there by the official. The ball caused the ball, the ground caused the ball to come out, and that is not a fumble.
1 yard line.
Up in the air. I'll tell you what. He is definitely the ground caused it. Is it not a touchdown?
From the 1.
Nope. Ball never quite got to the white stripes, so second and goal, inches away. And Slayton leaps, and he's got his second touchdown here. 13-0 Mountaineers.
Slayton carries from 1 yard out for a West Virginia touchdown.
Pretty good following here. West Virginia fans have come out tonight to support him here, and you see Slayton gets his air, but most important part of getting air as a ball carrier going into the goal line is that nobody penetrates and the offensive linemen keep their guys down.
Pat McAfee out of the hold of George Shell for the extra point, and it's 14-0. 12:55 in the second quarter.
Pat McAfee's point after attempt is
touchdowns numbers 8 and 9 on the year for true freshman Steve Slayton.
ESPN2's College Football Primetime, brought to you by Taco Bell. Think outside the bun. And TD Waterhouse, the alternative to higher-priced brokers.
Spanning the Ohio River, the rolling bridge connecting Cincinnati with Kentucky. 14-0 West Virginia. The lights starting to come back after a 10-minute delay. And this will be from the 2. Dominic Goodman. Upended at the 28. 89 yards on 8 plays on the second scoring march of the night for the Mountaineers, and White accounted for 66 of those 89. He went 32 yards on his only pass of the possession to Miles, and on his only run, he took it 34 yards. From that point, Steve Slayton took care of the rest. So down 14-0 now. Redshirt freshman from Maysville, Kentucky, Dustin Grutza. Trying to get Vladar established on the ground. No go so far.
And so far, Dustin Grutza, he's completed a lot of balls, high percentage, but he's not stretching it. And at some point now at 14-0, you're not panicking. It's early in the game, but you're going to have to stretch. You're going to have to show that you can throw the ball down the field and get out of that little box that you're playing in.
1 yard for Gladar, another recruit from a highly successful program. 2 state championships here in Ohio Division I at Elder High School in Cincinnati. And this time to Greg Moore, his backup, and again it's stacked up. Very rough going between the tackles so far for the Bearcat running attack. Just a couple more with Pat Liebig and Keelan Dykes combining for the tackle. Cincinnati offensive coordinator Don Treadwell. One adjustment he says that they've had to make in practice, Greg, this year is to play more first-teamers versus first-teamers than would normally be the case, just to get a more consistent look at what game speed is going to look like for all these new faces.
The only risk there is that somebody gets hurt, but if you learn how to practice smart, it's a good thing to do it.
3rd and 6. And the pressure flushing Grutza out. And he spins away from the first hit and is going to have a first down to the 39-yard line. He got through the arms of Eric Wicks somehow. Not easily accomplished. Morty Ivy finally there to join in.
Wow, how did he do that? These are the basketball feet that you were talking about just a moment ago. This is that point guard. Having a pocket presence and the ability to make people miss down the field.
At the 39-yard line.
I'm going to guess. Now, we haven't seen every game West Virginia's played, but I'm going to guess not many people have done that to Eric Wicks this year.
No.
Taking that kind of hit, spun out, and gotten 5 more yards. It really looked like Wicks had set up a 4th down punting situation, and instead Grutza has that pass batted down by Kevin McLeod. Grutza again looking short, looking to the sideline. Really hasn't challenged anything in the middle between the hash marks with his arm yet.
Watch the fullback, 86, the big guy in the flat. See, right now, throw the ball. He's late. You know, you got to read it when you see it. You got to get rid of the football. So many times you see young quarterbacks, they get out on the pocket and they're reading and looking too long, and they looking at receivers. They're not feeling what's being given to them, and then all of a sudden the guy jumps up and bats it down.
On 2nd and 10, he just got that one away from Mike Lorello, and it's caught by Derek Ross. Tackled by Anthony Mims at the 46. Ross, the most experienced skill player Cincinnati has. Senior from Marion, Ohio. Came in tonight 44 yards away from 1,000 for his career. One thing Grutz has done as well as anybody in the country is spread out the ball to his favorite receivers. His top 3 targets all within 1 catch of each other for the season coming in tonight, either 22 or 21 catches. For Ross, Selleck, the tight end, and Ernest Jackson, the other wideout. So here's a 3rd and 3. And well protected this time. The catch by Selleck, who knew exactly where he had to get for the first down at midfield. The ESPN Game Plan features 50-plus college football games each week. So if you can't find the big game you want this Saturday, there's a good chance it's on the ESPN Game Plan. This week's games, which can also be seen on ABC, include number 3, Miami at Wake Forest, Kansas at number 2, Texas, and number 1, USC against Cal. The ESPN Game Plan is available on TV and online. To order, call your pay-per-view provider or go to ESPN.com, keyword Game Plan. So a 1st and 10 to Brent Selleck, his outstanding tight end, and knocked back on his feet, Matt Webster, the center.
You know, I wonder if the center moved. No.
Pat Liebig tried to sell that idea unsuccessfully.
Grutza just backed out, you know, to give a little direction there. And the big fella, 98, couldn't resist.
5 yards penalty.
Smelt the barbecue pit, had to make a run for it.
The ball to the 45-yard line.
So 1st and 5. Into Mountaineer territory now. Jones in motion. Greg Moore. That is a fumble, not caused by the ground, recovered by the man who dropped it originally, Greg Moore, and he'll lose about 3 or 4 yards, but at least maintain Bearcat possession.
Man, I like this guy running the football. You just notice that when he's running behind his face mask in the front of his shoulder pads, and you can't get to his legs. He's a strong, good runner here, and the ball just comes out. Absolutely, you saw the beanbag thrown. It was a fumble, but thank goodness he got up off the carpet and went and picked it back up and recovered it. I'd keep giving that guy a football.
That's a pretty good combination of power and quickness. Greg Moore at 225 pounds. Better than 5 yards per carry. 2nd and 4. And again, the swing pass. This is Bill Poland with his first catch of the night. And again, the ball dropped. And the Mountaineers come up with this one.
It is a fumble. Poland gets the ball on the outside, and a lot of traffic coming from the inside. He has 2 hands on it initially, but the left hand comes off. One of the defenders comes in with his right hand and just strips it right out.
That's Wicks.
Nice job of Wicks getting that hand on the football. And oh, I tell you what. Well, was he? Let's see.
That's
Ball's
a fumble.
out. It's out.
He's not down. It's recovered by Bobby Hathaway.
Now we'll see if West Virginia comes out and chunks it on the first play here.
So Wicks, who had Roots in his grasp and then saw him spin away for 5 extra yards to keep that drive alive with a first down, makes up for it by causing the fumble. White all the way in the option. Keeper cuts back toward the sideline. It is at the 28-yard line where Mike Mickens costs White a touchdown after 31 yards. Last drive he kept for 34. This drive, Pat White begins with a 31-yard keeper.
And you know, the pressure on the quarterback by coming out to the outside. You notice that the outside sprint, everybody's going to the outside, open the middle of the field for White to get up in it. The option really stretched, trying to get outside for Slayton with his speed as a halfback.
To see the growth, almost possession by possession for White. Just his 2nd collegiate start. Runs out of another tackle, another first down to the 15-yard line of Cincinnati. Thomas Claggett and Antoine Horton combined to knock him out after 13 more yards. And White is already over 100 yards on the ground.
Well, he's out of gas right now. I mean, those legs are just churning along, and he is a huffing and a puffing.
159 rush yards already for West Virginia. The 8-minute mark of the first half. 1st and 10 from the 15. Reynaud spins out of a tackle, and just as he sniffs the goal line, he trips up at the 8. Darius Reynaud, sophomore from Butte, Louisiana, thinks he has 6 here.
You know, the strong arm to get it to Reynaud quickly so that he can turn and look at the defense coming at him. He makes the move, and Reynaud, the old grass monster, jumped up and got him. That's one of those that you like. You wish you could be in the meeting tomorrow when they all laugh at him.
Reynaud motion man, 2nd and 4. Slayton, who's already got 2 touchdowns and adds a 3rd.
Steve Slayton carries from 9 yards out for a Mountaineers touchdown.
Steve Slayton on his 10th carry of the night, his 3rd touchdown. 20-0 West Virginia.
Well, if he's a baseball player, he's hitting 300 from the end zone.
The former baseball player, Pat White, got him down there again. White has carried 5 times tonight for 102 yards. A 31-yarder started this scoring drive. McAfee makes it 21-0. So White and Reynaud set it up for Slayton to finish the job again. And a Mountaineer-dominated first half.
It's time now for your chance to win one of 100 Philips HD TVs with DirecTV service for a year. Log on to 100yardblitz.com to enter. The code word is Bearcats.
Log on to 100yardblitz.com. Enter Bearcats as tonight's code word for your chance to win an HD TV. 21-0 West Virginia. Outgaining Cincinnati 239 total yards to 74. Outgaining on the ground 168 to 34. Dominic Goodman buried inside the 10. The fired up Mountaineers on all sides of the ball, including special teams now showing their dominance. As Charles Pugh comes up for this, shall we say, slobber knocker? Does this qualify?
Well, it's just too low. You know, when you get hit up high is when you get the slobber knocker. You know, the slobber,
Decleater?
knocker, decleater. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Big hit. No doubt.
Be something besides just another good tackle.
Another good tackle. Young guys don't know to stop playing when you're up 21-0, do they?
So all the Bearcats need now start on their own 10, down 21-0. Almost half of the second quarter to go. They start with Glodar moving the pile about 4 yards beyond where you thought it might stop.
Bradley Gladcar, the ball carrier.
Turns 1 yard into 5. What keyed that last scoring drive for the Mountaineers? What started it? 31 yards on the keeper up the middle by Pat White.
It was the option to the left. And the speed of Steve Slayton in the backfield, the defense respects so much. And they have to get on their horse to get to the outside to stop the pitch. And when you do that, remember what I said in the open, you lose your gap control and you open up something for Pat White.
Roots on 2nd down and 5, staying with Glodar. And Glodar again finds some yardage that wasn't necessarily there when he took that handoff. And he's going to come very close to the first down. He needed the 20, and they decide not even close enough to measure. 1st and 10, Cincinnati.
I think right now Cincinnati's offense might want to consider an up-tempo deal. You know, in and out of the huddle a little quicker, certainly, if not going to the line of scrimmage. You don't want to panic, but you need points on this drive. And that offensive line and the ball carriers, they've just got to give that little extra to it. And this drive here is critical, and they got to talk about that in the huddle.
And at some point, we still wait for Grutza to take a shot downfield. Maybe here. Nope. Not going to happen here. Bobby Hathaway, who recovered the fumble that set up the 3rd Mountaineer touchdown, knifes in on the blitz for the sack.
At the 14-yard line.
Hathaway, you know, you're sitting there setting up the big shot. Linebacker Hathaway comes. The left tackle blows his block, loses containment on the inside. Blind side for Grutza, and he gets a pretty good shot.
We got a slobber knocker there, sure.
That was plenty hot.
Hathaway plays behind Jeff Noshel at strong side linebacker. A loss of 6, 2nd and 16. And they run it on the passing down. Butler Benton knocked backwards by D. McCann.
Man, you know what? There's a reason West Virginia is leading the Big East right now. D. McCann and that secondary and this defense, they come up. And the perception sometimes is you hear it's a 3-3-5 defense. Maybe a little soft. This defense will come up and get you. And it's 7-1 record this year. Only loss to Virginia Tech. They know how to play football. West Virginia is young, but they can play and play well.
This is one of those what ifs. What if those two played again? What if you had a rematch with where West Virginia is now and where Virginia Tech apparently is now, or at least was last week? Might have a completely different outcome. Grutza throwing on the run and throwing accurately, but nowhere near 1st down yardage. Ernest Jackson.
Yeah, what do you say we just call them up and see if they want to do a little extra work midweek? We got a midweek crew here. We'll gladly throw it up on the bird.
I think if that game is in neutral territory, wouldn't you go West Virginia?
Today?
Where the teams are right now?
But see, that's what the loss of Virginia Tech did for them last weekend. They got shellacked by Miami, and now everybody's going to think, well, maybe Virginia Tech's not that good. And certainly, there's a crack in the armor there. There's no doubt there. You know how to go after them.
Chet Irvin sees that ball. Tightrope down the sideline. And roll out of the 29, 46 yards. 3 touchdowns from true freshman Steve Slayton, who tied the Big East record held by Willis McGahee of Miami 2 games ago with 6 against Louisville, already halfway there. Boy, again, you just don't see a 185-pounder when you watch him with that combination of ability to go right at tacklers, show some power, and then dart off and show the quick feet and the breakaway speed.
You know, sticking with the thought, the question, the concept of, you know, how would West Virginia do against Virginia Tech now? The switch that they flip here at West Virginia has everybody on this team. They always play hard.
Slayton close to 10 and another first down. In fact, that term came up over and over and over again, talking last night with Mark D'Antonio. What he said he wants to build here at Cincinnati is what Rich Rodriguez has at West Virginia, and that is a team that does two things every week: shows toughness and plays hard. And if he said it once, he probably said it half a dozen times talking about West Virginia.
Every coach would like to have a smart, tough football team, but I think you have to have some kind of little gimmick like they have at West Virginia. You know you're flipping it on when you look at the door, leaving and coming.
Slayton this time for no gain. Talking about the sign in their locker room. Flip the switch when you leave the locker room. Flip that switch and get your football mindset on, and then when you come back in, he's got the opposite side of the door with the message, switch it back. In other words, get back into your street shoes and get back into your civilian mentality. Don't carry that football mentality back out to the campus.
You know, it's like Mike Leach at Texas Tech. That switch is always on offensively. You know, and certain coaches, they just instill that expectation.
Owen Schmidt on a carry. Holly, what we've seen from Steve Slayton brings to mind a not too distant West Virginia running back, doesn't it?
That's right. Quincy Wilson was one of the best 2 years ago for West Virginia. You'll remember him for that touchdown run against Miami. But Quincy, you spent the summer, you're here on the practice squad for the Bengals, but you worked out with Steve Slayton this summer. What did you see in that young back?
I seen that he was going to be a special guy. For somebody that young to come in and want to work as hard as he did, it was real impressive to me.
More in a moment, Dave.
Safety blitz by Haruki Nakamura, the sophomore from Elyria, Ohio. And a judo star since the age of 12 in a family that has produced a lot of stars in that sport.
Yeah, and you know, how in the world does a quarterback hang on to the football getting hit that hard from behind? Pretty impressive there. And Cincinnati's defense steps up and stops the offense.
Bill Brady for just the second time tonight. Rollout punter. Short return by Mike Daniels of a 33-yard kick. Holly again continue with Quincy.
Well, Quincy, you said that Slayton's a hard worker, but that seems to be the foundation for this West Virginia program. Tell us about coaches saying flip the switch. What did that mean to you when you were playing?
This means, you know, sometimes you might not want to work out, but, you know, you only get 12 opportunities, you know, to show what you can do out here. So the time when you come out there, you got to come out there and be ready to work.
How hard was it then to flip it back when you went off the field and not get in trouble in the community?
It's not that hard. You know, Coach Rod teaches us, you know, how to be respectable on the field and off the field. So that's really no problem.
You've seen another young quarterback, Pat White, here. What do you think about Pat?
Pat's a good dude, man. Everybody was worried about, you know, how they were going to replace Rashid. He was so much for the team, but Pat's come in and do a great job.
Here's Grutza rolling and finally deciding to keep for about 4 yards. Holly.
And let's flip the switch now to the Cincinnati Bengals. You're having a terrific year there. You're on the practice squad. What is making their offense go right now?
Carson Palmer, Rudy Johnson. It's a team effort. You know, I mean, everybody's in there. Everybody's believing in the system, and we're just playing hard and we're pulling out big wins.
All right, thanks very much. That's Quincy Wilson, former Mountaineer running back, now on the practice squad for the Bengals.
One of the best they've ever had in Morgantown. Son of former Bear star Otis Wilson.
That run he had in the Orange Bowl against the Hurricanes, that seems like yesterday.
Grutza. Very fortunate. Eric Wicks didn't pick that one off, and here comes a late flag. Pass intended for Bill Pullen.
There is a penalty flag on the play.
Dennis Hennigan, our referee. Pass interference, West Virginia, first down Cincinnati. And as we get close to halftime, Reese Davis, what do you have in store for us?
Dave Martin May alongside, as always. It is a showdown Saturday coming up in the SEC. We'll profile those 3 big games and introduce you to guys who ought to be in the next crop of head coaches, plus the latest on Priest Holmes.
We're going to talk about some questionable officiating in the SEC this past weekend. We're talking about officials, Dave. Officials, Pony. Pony, poor officiating, Pony. What do you think about that?
You know what? Rich Brooks thinks that he's getting some bad calls at Kentucky, I was reading, and I think officials, when they put that zebra suit on, they do a heck of a job. But, Mark, we've seen many times that they just look like they got too tight a haircut.
Gain of 3 yards. Second down.
Second down. Hurry up. Roots out. Jackson wiped out by Mike Lorello, and it's incomplete. A trademark hit by Mike Lorello from Powell, Ohio, the senior bandit safety.
You know what? But we finally see Grutza throwing the ball down the field. He has accuracy, and you're going to get hit. And I tell my sons, who both are wide receivers, you're going to get the shot, so go ahead and finish it up if you can. Now, Lorello did come in and lay the wood on that shot. That there again was a bona fide slobber knocker.
Those are starting to pile up now. 3rd and 7. Blitz. Grutza down. Back at his 40. Antonio Lewis on the corner blitz. And now with 3 timeouts to work with, you would expect West Virginia. Well, you'd think they would call one here and then have 2 left when they get the punt. But apparently they're going to let them kick it away and then use the 3 once they finally... Nope, Rich Riley's going to call it here. About 15, 20 seconds melted off the clock that time, and he's a little hot about it, too.
I love coaches. It's hilarious. They'll be talking about that at 3 in the morning.
51 seconds in the first half when we come back. Well, about 15 seconds after they probably wanted to call it, they finally get the first time out call here. West Virginia up 21-0. Great matchup out west tomorrow. College football primetime presented by Cooper Tires. Undefeated in the WAC. Boise State, number 20 Fresno State. From Fresno, college football primetime tomorrow at 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific. Also available in high definition on ESPN HD. Our coverage begins with College Game Day at 7:30. Why is that so common, even in the NFL? 15, 20, 25 seconds, then they realize they need the timeout.
Well,
call.
as announcers, we're in the same tempo flow of the game up here as they are mentally down there. And you would think that somebody would have that feel for what's going on with it.
Irvin's done a good job preventing returns so far. Antonio Lewis brings this one back across the 30. 16 on the return of a 45-yard kick with 41 seconds and 2 timeouts to work with. Pat White will start from his 30.
All right, well, I'll ask you, since we're trying to put our coaches' hats on here, do you try to go down and score with a 21-0 lead and take a chance that you make a mistake and give them something to get in the game with?
If you're not going to do that, why would you call the timeout to begin with?
Well, give yourself a chance to think about it.
They moved the ball so easily. 248 yards. 177 on the ground. Absolutely, I would expect them to not only try to move it, but maybe look for some deep shots early. Flag thrown on the carry by Slayton.
Ball carrier.
Who only gets back to the line of scrimmage.
Of course, we've seen big plays made by Pat White running the ball, too, so maybe they were looking for setting up that little quarterback zone read there.
It's been by far their best play so far. White keeping, Holly.
Hey, and Dave, just one thing to keep your eye on. The wind is swirling down here, so if they do try to move it within field goal range, they've got a true freshman kicker in Pat McAfee. Swirling wind, they're kicking into the wind if they do attempt a field goal.
You know what? And Holly, I stood there, watched him. He hit one from 60 yards in pregame. The guy has a booming leg.
With the wind on the
With the wind. The direction he's going. Now, it's different. That's weird. I asked these kickers in pregame. It swirls around, and it feels like it's going from left to right, the same direction that they're moving right now, but it does swirl. So they said it's really goofy and hard to predict.
Evidently, with the mark off on the hold,
Rich
Rodriguez decides to
for the Bearcats.
stay conservative, and now Cincinnati calls time.
You know what? They just don't want to have you call them out for not taking advantage of their timeouts. They feel you, man.
2nd and 18, 29 seconds. West Virginia coming in hoping to stay undefeated in the Big East. Cincinnati 2 wins away from bowl eligibility. Dave Barnett, Craig James, and Holly Rowe at Nippert Stadium. Unseasonably warm weather until about half an hour ago, which was also about the time the lights went out and we had a 10-minute delay. So these are already pretty well-rested teams that are preparing for their halftime break. All 3 touchdowns from Steve Slayton, the true freshman tailback from Levittown, Pennsylvania for West Virginia. Pat White has thrown it for 71 yards, 5 out of 8, and has carried for 98. Now, he's lost yardage since he got over 100. He had 102 on his first 5 carries. He's 6 for 98 now.
Man, how about that? 91 yards offense by Cincinnati. And that's, I don't think it's the ineptness of their offense as much as it is just the good, solid play of West Virginia's defense.
I think Cincinnati's done fairly well is extend their drives. Their time of possession's pretty good. 3 minutes more than West Virginia. They're just not getting the big plays that West Virginia is getting with ease.
You know, we're 23 seconds away from hearing Mark May go off on officials in the SEC.
On the play. It'll be
Reese is going to have to just put the gloves on and just you know, hang with him, Reese. Set him up.
One more timeout left for the Bearcats. 3rd and 20. Hoping Grutza gets at least a shot somewhere on his own end of the field. Grutza has hit 10 out of 14, but averaging less than 5 yards per completion. Still really only 1 downfield shot. In the second half, Slayton is halfway to tying his own record, school record, Big East co-record with Willis McGahee of 6 touchdowns. Now it took him regulation plus 3 overtimes in that Louisville game 2 weeks ago, or 2 games ago. It's actually longer than that because they had an 18-day break because they moved to a midweek game and they had a game postponed because of the hurricane. But 2 games ago, Slayton scored 6 times. Here's White on the keeper. This has been the best play the Mountaineers have run tonight on a consistent basis, and he gets 11 more and back over 100 yards.
And they call timeout immediately.
31-yard line.
So they save themselves the opportunity at least for a poor snap or a big punt return. And Cincinnati will have 1 timeout to work with.
Cincinnati.
Let's check into the studio with Reese Davis.
You know, Dave, I heard Pony saying that I was going to have to put on the gloves and take up for the officials against Mayday, but I got to confess, I sort of started this whole thing Saturday night after the Florida-Vanderbilt game.
You carried it over till tonight because you're the one that said, we need to put that in the rundown.
I've been a little salty about it. You know, we're going to present perhaps some reasonable alternatives, right, to what officials should do. We like to see a little celebration. We'd like to see Pony do a little Chad Johnson-esque dance after he makes a really good point in the booth.
A little fun bunch between him and Dave in the booth up there.
Going old school on you. We'll talk about that. Also, look ahead to the SEC showdowns. It's tough to find a better weekend in any conference than what you'll see in the SEC, starting with Florida and South Carolina, and then followed up by Alabama and LSU in the nightcap on ESPN, Auburn and Georgia. We'll talk about all of it coming up at halftime, guys.
All right, well, I think we can take care of part of that request, can't we?
Yeah.
We can get you dancing.
You know what I do? I move around a little bit up here.
So 4th down. Phil Brady. Where will they mark this one out? Wherever it is, there's time for probably 1 downfield shot by Grutza with 9 seconds to go. 35-yard kick out of the 34.
34-yard.
You know, that LSU at Alabama. Now, I know you're not on Alabama's side here. Do you think their offense is terrible?
Well, it's not a matter of being on their side. It's a matter of who you think can win. Alabama has done a miraculous job with no offense. To be 9-0 in the SEC is a huge statement for their defense. But all I'm saying is, how can they keep winning when they have LSU, Auburn, and even if they win Georgia. Those 2, the SEC championship game?
I believe Brody Croyle is a good quarterback, and I think Darby runs the ball well, and I believe DJ Hall gives them the threat they need. They just don't have to be crazy throwing it.
Grutza runs out of time and room. Well, they will give him 1 more shot. 1 second still on the clock as Morty Ivy runs Grutza out.
And I hope Mark and Reese talk about, I know they will during halftime, how good Alabama's defense is, which reminds me of the '92 championship team.
That team had an offense.
This team does too. That's my point. I think they have the ability. Now, they lose Klossner, their center. That hurts.
One offensive touchdown in 13 quarters. That '92 team didn't have a spell like that ever. They had a great defense, but they had some balance.
I tell you what, you and I will go a hamburger on the deal that they do better than you think this week against LSU.
Running out the clock, Bradley Glodar. So we reach the end of the first half. 21-0 West Virginia. Well on its way to going to 5-0 in the Big East, 8-1 overall as we see.
It's fast. They play disciplined, and it's not so much that Cincinnati hasn't been good on offense. West Virginia's good.
Pat McAfee has the second half underway. Dominic Goodman with 2 flags down at the end of the return. Mike Daniels on the return for 32 yards. And we wait for Dennis Hennigan, our referee, to tell us about, well, actually 3 flags down out there.
First down.
All right, we get the gist of that anyway.
Something like that. They were holding.
How much of this is just the fact that Cincinnati's so young? We talked about the fact they start 5 true freshmen on defense. Is that just too much to overcome?
West Virginia's young too. You know, the difference here, I think, is that West Virginia has had some success, and that they are really feeding off of that. And when you got a guy like Pat White who's stretching that defense and Slayton in the backfield, it's just too much pressure for Cincinnati. Cincinnati's a good, talented football team, and there are a few plays in this game. Had they gone a little differently, perhaps Cincinnati's not so far behind.
Well, they start 1st and 10 at their own 16-yard line. And as they have most of the night, they start on the ground as we check in down below with Holly.
Antonio told me at halftime that what he challenged his players to was to make some explosive plays. He said, we did a good job with 4-yard, 5-yard gains, but there weren't any big explosive plays that helped us gain momentum. That's what they'll try to hit here in the second half. For Rich Rodriguez, he told his players, this is exactly what he told them last week at halftime when they had a big lead on UConn. We've been here before. Louisville came back on us. We cannot allow that to happen, so they are going full speed ahead.
Gain of 2 for Glodar on 1st down. Glodar maybe for 1 on 2nd down, and they set up another 3rd and long. Cincinnati looking for its first big play. First 10-plus yard gainer would be a good start as they try and cut into this huge deficit.
Well, trying to get a big play on 3rd and 8 is not easy to do. It needs to happen more on 1st down. They need to change it up a little bit and go away from the tendency of running the ball on 1st down. And I just said the 1st down average has been 2.4 for Cincinnati in this game.
Straight drop by Grutza. Steps up and gets the heat. And hanging on for the catch is Jackson. He got waylaid by Jamal Adai, but hangs on for 16 yards, and they finally have their first big play.
Jackson comes up with the big play finally, throwing it down the field. And you know, you have to wonder, first of all, is Grutza in front and beyond the line of scrimmage when he threw that football? But beyond that, receivers now need to talk on the sidelines at Cincinnati and say, hey, we're going to get hit. We're going to get hit when we have the ball in our hands in the secondary, but make the catch.
1st down. Roots on the play fake. Well, this has happened time and time again. He's been forced to scramble. He's got the quick feet to do it, and he had Brent Selleck, his tight end, open maybe for a catch and run of 20 or 30 yards if he doesn't air mail.
Man, that guy can move in the pocket, can he? You talked about his basketball court savviness, and he was a point guard. That really is coming into play, and that needs to be an asset they use more. He needs to use that, and that's the little dump pass that you're mentioning there. That's a huge weapon for them.
You see 11 completions, but less than 6 yards per completion. Pat White's averaged 16+ for his 5 out of 8 through the air. Bradley Glodar again. not highly recruited, despite the fact he played the highly successful high school program here in Cincinnati. 2 Division I state championships at Elder High School. 39 wins, only 4 losses in his high school career. And again, fits that profile of a local recruit. Mark D'Antonio and his staff hoping to make Cincinnati in general and the state of Ohio a consistent, fertile recruiting ground. Grutza falls on his own fumble on the safety blitz caused by Eric Witz back at the 29-yard line. Mountaineer defense keeps the blitzes coming. This redshirt freshman quarterback Grutza
29-yard line.
doesn't panic that time, really.
No, he doesn't. But you see the blitz coming 41, and if nobody's there to pick him up, then there has to be a hot route. Somebody has to be open in the flat, which is where he was trying to go with the football. I'd move the pocket next time they get the ball. I'd start putting that young man on the corner, seeing what he can do.
Chet Irvin on the punt return. It's Vaughn Rivers. And Rivers returns to about the 48-yard line, just a 30-yard punt. Grutza has had the heat coming at him all night and almost turned that one over deep in his own territory. Haruki Nakamura staying in the game despite the fact he got hit by 3 of his own teammates on that punt coverage.
See, you know, I made the comment earlier. What was the over and under on how many times you'd say Nakamura?
Well, I think you said Hakimura. I haven't said your version of it yet, but Haruki Nakamura stays in despite the fact that 3 of his own guys rocked him. Fortunate for him, he had that break during the timeout to kind of recover his senses. So already up 21-0. The Mountaineers take over in great shape at their 48-yard line, and White goes with the option pitch to Owen Schmidt, who barrels his way into Bearcat territory, and we go down to Holly Rowe.
Well, guys, Haruki Nakamura is not coming off the field. He just is glad to be playing football. When he was growing up, his family was into judo. His father was an 8th-degree black belt, mom a 4th-degree black belt, and his older brother, Yoshi, an 8-time national champion in judo. They weren't allowed to play football because they thought it would interfere with judo, and so after his father passed away, his brother snuck him into a youth organization playing football. His mom caught him sneaking out of the house with pads, and the rest is history.
Well, the moral there, easier to ask for forgiveness than permission. Catch and run here. Big yardage, Rayshawn Bolden takes it 14 yards for another first down. Just his 2nd catch of the season.
You talk about the spread offense and what Rodriguez does here. I want you to see the pressure. Once the pocket is in there, you'll see on the left side and the right side. Right here, look at, they have a chance out here that's set up with a screen, and they also have a double screen. So you're seeing pressure on a defense that's young, trying to cover the entire football field. And that's hard to do.
Well, the spread offense spreads out the weapons and the defense. And forces a lot of different areas of concern. A strike at the 17-yard line now, saying it's incomplete. Brandon Miles. Miles got the night started for West Virginia with a circus catch of the ball batted in the air by Antoine Horton on the first scoring drive. How close did he come to bringing this one in?
Well, you and I are 0 for 1. Oh, man.
Pretty close.
I tell you what, but you know what? As he's gaining control of the ball, some of that green stuff kind of helped him.
Evidently not close enough.
They're
review.
And you see how they're being patient here, trying to see if, well, not going to happen.
On 2nd down, it's Slayton. Touchdown number 4. 33 yards. Slayton gets the points. Pat White sets it up with a brilliant fake carried out after he'd already given it to Steve Slayton.
Did you just say that's his 4th touchdown run of the game? Or 4th touchdown of the game? Yes, it is. You can't take a play off against West Virginia's offense. You know, with Slayton in the backfield and Pat White running quarterback, they can nail you every snap.
McAfee 28-0 And Steve Slayton now 2 yards away from becoming the Mountaineers' second 100-yard rusher of the night. White's there at 109. Slayton, all 4 touchdowns for the Mountaineers.
ESPN2's College Football Primetime, brought to you by Hummer. Check out the new H3. Hummer, like nothing else. And eBay. From plasma TVs to designer handbags, eBay has it all. Whatever it is, you can get it on eBay.
And, of course, the Big O, Oscar Robertson. Really put Cincinnati basketball on the map some 45 years ago or so. Steve Slayton now within 2 touchdowns of his school record and Big East record set just 2 games ago. 6, but it took triple overtime to get 6 against Louisville. He's got 4 tonight with still less than 5 minutes gone in the second half. So after really only becoming a consistent member of the tailback rotation really at about the 4th game of the season, mid-season to be sure, Slayton has now scored 12 touchdowns, 11 of them on the ground, 1 on a catch, and is 2 yards away from his 3rd 100-yard game in his last 4. Probably would have had it against UConn last week had he not suffered a hip pointer, missed the second half. And for more, let's go down to Holly Rowe.
Well, guys, Steve Slayton's mom, Juanita, swears that he was fast from inside the womb, and I'm not kidding about this. She went in for a doctor's visit, and the doctor was trying to get the baby's heartbeat, and the baby just kept scatting back and forth, and he was having a hard time getting that heartbeat. His mom said, the doctor said, hey, this baby is going to be a track star, and it was true. When he was a little boy, they would actually have to try to corral him in the house to discipline him because no one person could catch him. They'd have to gang up on him, and tonight it looks like they need to gang up on him too.
Yeah, she said this was a baby who did not want to be held. He was on his feet early. Swing pass. Greg Moore. Out of 1 tackle. This may go for a while. Moore to midfield. Akeem Jackson finally catches him after a catch and run. Mostly run of 29 yards. Just his 4th catch all season.
So they finally get a big play offensively, and it's on 1st down, and Moore on the outside is a good, big, solid runner. He had the fumble earlier, right? But we kept saying, give him some more opportunities. And the downfield blocking was there as well. And so nice execution. Cincinnati is such a young football team. They have to try to play the rest of this game and execute and try to see how they can play for the 4th quarter.
So from the 50, 1st down, play fake Grutza. Looking deep middle. Hasn't thrown it that way all night. Maybe we know why now. Kevin McKee all the way, still on his feet to the 33-yard line. Kevin Boo McLee on a 30-yard return of an interception pass intended for Brent Selleck.
It just looked like there were so many white jerseys that had dropped back into zone coverage, and McLee was almost in a little bit of a right back. You see 43 in the middle of the screen, dropping straight back. And the interception, it's almost as if the quarterback didn't see him.
Well, and you can see why McLee was able to zone in on Grutza, because he's zoned in on Selleck. Never looked anywhere else. McLee read the eyes. Got the pick and sets him up at the 34-yard line. Back to work goes Slayton. And bangs for about 8 or 9 yards to the 25. And now he's over 100 and 107. White's at 109 on 7 carries. Slayton is at 107 on 16 carries, 4 of which have gone for scores. And down the Bearcat defender.
Gain of 9 yards on the play.
Kevin McCullough, their middle linebacker, who was one of the heroes in the victory at Syracuse. In fact, the Big East Defensive Player of the Week. Had the game-winning fumble return for a touchdown in the 4th quarter against the Orange. Junior college transfer from Grand Rapids Junior College from Hudson, Ohio. Kevin McCullough, a walk-on.
You know, let's go back and take a look at Dustin Grutza and what he's done, and you're going to see that when the play develops, you got to take what they want to give you. You know, you got to read it and see. Right now is where the ball should be coming out into here. You know, trying to force the ball down the middle of the field, it just doesn't work. You know, you've got to work and manage it. You can't force the ball down the field, and that's what Grutzer will learn when he goes into the meetings, that managing and taking and chipping away is okay.
Well, attention being given to the right knee of Kevin McCullough. And we'll be able to see what happens to him here. As he brings down Steve Slayton at the 25-yard line. Better angle here. That knee just comes out and gets bent as he has to reach up and make that tackle. But the more he walks, the less he limps, so that's encouraging. Meanwhile, a 2nd and 1. Mountaineers go from the eye. And the fullback Schmidt quickly into the secondary and upended at the 14-yard line by Cedric Tolbert after a gain of 11. Unstoppable West Virginia rushing attack now at 246 yards.
Gain of 9 yards.
Not even halfway into the third quarter.
For West Virginia.
7 carries, 30 yards for Schmidt, the sophomore from Fairfax, Virginia. Pat White has only had to throw it 10 times. Back to Slayton and knocked at the line of scrimmage. Read well that time by Ryan Mandalak, who plays as long as McCullough is out, getting attention to his knee. Mandalak, one of the 10 freshmen on their 22-man defensive 2D. 5 of whom are true freshman starters for Cincinnati on this side of the ball.
You think Slayton gets in for that 5th touchdown?
Bet he's going to get a chance. And then the question is, will they leave him in if they get it to 35-0 and give him a chance to tie his own record? White will keep, and that's as well as they've defended that quarterback option tonight. A couple of times White has turned that up for 30+ yards. This time Adam Roberts, the lone senior up front from Brooklyn. And in fact, the lone returning starter on the front 7 for the Bearcat defense.
You know, as you get down the road here, Pat White, once he gets up in the line, right now, he should have pitched the football. If Slayton keeps that 5-yard relationship, those good option quarterbacks, they get up in there, they draw the secondary, and you've seen them kick it out to the outside, then it becomes a touchdown.
Instead, 3rd and 8. And White back in the gun. Low snap, he handles it. And bobbled and dropped by Slayton. Slayton, not a bad receiver. Their 3rd leading receiver. He scored once this season that way, and now 11 on the ground, but it won't come here evidently, as on 4th and 8 to send the field goal unit on.
This kid's got a big leg. McAfee and Rodriguez was talking last night about how you saw the Marshall game and Southern Miss, and Marshall's kind of wishing they had a guy that could put it through the uprights.
8 out of 13 for the true freshman from Plum, Pennsylvania, Pat McAfee. 28-yarder this time, and splits the uprights. So West Virginia has to settle for 3 after the interception by Kevin McLeese set it up. 31-0 with 7:04 to go in the 3rd. We'll look at some BCS possibilities when we return. West Virginia extends the lead here, and West Virginia and South Florida evidently will decide the Big East the way things stand right now. Automatic bid. The West Virginia folks expect that they will probably go to the Orange, with a chance they might go to the Sugar, which moves this year because of the damage to the Superdome to the Georgia Dome in Atlanta. And as we said earlier, it's this time of year, it's time to project. It's time to have a little fun and look into the crystal ball and try and figure out who's going where. So we'll do that after Cincinnati returns this kick.
It's a muddy crystal ball, though. Huh?
Dominic Goodman. Hitting remains fierce. Flag down at the end of this return at the 16. 2 flags, in fact, and the second flag comes in the midst of the exchange on the West Virginia bench between the special team and the defenders coming in.
During the return, illegal block in the back, number 89. Penalty is half the distance to the goal. First down.
All right, so that crystal ball, you know, it might have a little mud to it, but you know what? These are the projections that we have coming from this booth, and Dave's a part of it. And I want you to take notice down there at the Sugar Bowl.
I'm partially part of this. Okay. I'm going to have a big disagreement with you on one of your selections.
Your former partner, Bill Curry, would be disappointed in you. USC and Texas, and then how about the Fiesta? Notre Dame and Penn State. That'd be a great matchup. Watching those two teams go at each other with the defense of Penn State against Brady Quinn and that offense. I mean, that'd be awesome. Now, Miami and West Virginia down in the Orange Bowl, the Sugar Bowl, you saw it. That's assuming Alabama gets in there. You know, and when you look at Alabama playing against an Ohio State team, I think what you see here are 2 at-large teams in Notre Dame and Ohio State that are big national programs that are good for ratings, in essence.
2 yards.
So again, you're saying Alabama, which can't score on offense, haven't been able to since they lost to Pro Throw, gets by LSU this week, gets by Auburn, gets by probably Georgia, project ahead whoever they play in the SEC title game. If they get that far, you see them winning with such an imbalanced team. This fumble recovered at the 13 by West Virginia. Cincinnati continues to add to its own problems, and here comes another late flag after the recovery by D. McCann, the senior corner.
Flag on the field. Fumble was recovered by Eric Wicks for West Virginia.
3rd Bearcat turnover, an interception, 2 fumbles.
After the play was over, personal foul, number 43, personal foul, number 11, the penalty's offset. First down.
Kevin McLeay and Bradley Glodar.
Well, what you don't want to have is a young football team, and both of them are young, to get out of control here. Cincinnati have a lot of frustrations trying to make the extra effort, but now West Virginia has the luxury of not worrying about trying to strip the ball and missing a tackle. So as a ball carrier, you have double responsibility of focus on holding on to the ball, because you know that West Virginia defense, they're going to be trying to strip it out.
This is part of the formula West Virginia used to blow out UConn last week. Lots of short fields. This will be first down at the 12, and West Virginia with some confusion in the quick change.
Now, this Alabama concept, all I know is this. LSU's good, Georgia's good, okay, no problem. But one thing that if you want to have a little certainty, you go with a defense. An offense might have a down time, right? But a defense typically comes through. So when you try to make projections and you look ahead a little bit, I'm going with Alabama's defense.
All right, and I've said I think LSU's probably got the best combination of offense and defense, and Holly disagrees with both of us.
Well, guys, I have kind of a different interest because I'm going to Georgia to do that Georgia-Auburn game. But, guys, I've seen Georgia a couple of times this year, and they're a very solid team. They'll get DJ Shockley back this week. He has been able to practice. And with their senior quarterback, with that spirit that he brings to the team, they are very good. In fact, Greg Blue on their defense has just been named one of the 12 semifinalists for the Jim Thorpe Award. So both sides of the ball, Georgia's very solid, good kicking game. I'm going to lobby for Georgia.
Very courageous of you, Holly, as you head to Athens tomorrow. 1st and 10, Slayton pulls ahead and gets inside the 5. So as we look ahead, Auburn and Georgia, close series through the years, and 2 of the top 5 defenses in the country. SEC is so imbalanced this year, so many good defenses and very few, if any, offenses that can compare to what's facing them on the other side of the ball.
Well, scoring defense is so important. If they can't score, they can't beat you, right? And some people like to say that maybe the SEC has no offense. I don't agree with that. I think they've just got good defenses this year.
Slayton bounced off the hit, fought to get close to the line of scrimmage. 3rd 3 for the first down and 5 for the touchdown coming.
Even with DJ Shockley coming back, I said a couple of weeks ago, I felt like that Georgia had a chance to lose at Florida, which they did in the cocktail party there, and to lose against Auburn. You know, there's just the continuity or the lack of. Now they played pretty darn good against Florida. They were in that game, but Auburn's a good team, no doubt about it.
LSU's got Alabama in Tuscaloosa, then they've got Mississippi, and that's on the road. Then they host Arkansas. Schmidt tripped up at the 1. There's a marker at the line of scrimmage. And then LSU with the victories over Florida and Auburn. Holding is going to bring this one back. Georgia's got Auburn and Kentucky at home, and then they go to Atlanta to take on Georgia Tech.
Always a fun game to watch.
Holding, number 62 on the offense. 10-yard penalty from the line of scrimmage. Repeat third down.
Ryan Stanchek, the left guard. From here in Cincinnati, redshirt freshman.
Oh, the animation.
It's not nothing, although if you just watch Rich Rodriguez, you think every game is always nothing to nothing. He coaches it that way.
You know what? Flip the switch on. There's no time to turn the switch off until you're going to class or you're going to be a civilian. Right now, you got a helmet on and you're a football player. And he coaches. He's got to turn the switch on, too.
So 3rd and 13 for the first down, 15 for the touchdown. They'll have to use another timeout to avoid a delay penalty.
Timeout, West Virginia. That is our second timeout of the half.
So many intriguing matchups coming this week, including this one, LSU Alabama, number 5 against number 4. LSU, the 6th best scoring defense in the country, and the only reason Alabama is still undefeated is that 8.2 per game they're allowing, which leads the nation.
I just was wondering if you recognize that, Barnett, that Alabama is in single-digit scoring defense. And I mean, the monitor doesn't lie. You know, the guys in graphics put together the truth. And the truth is LSU, Auburn, and Georgia, they're in double-digit scoring defenses. Still good, but it's not like Alabama scoring defense. And you don't have to do anything spectacular with their defense. Offensively, just don't mess it up.
Again, how long can that continue, though? How long can you ask your defense to score all the points as they did against Mississippi State when you're getting LSU and Auburn and maybe a Georgia? And that's just too much to ask. They've done an incredible job, but I can't possibly see that continue.
You're going to agree that in these games like this in the SEC, they're going to be defensive battles.
Yep.
And if your game plan is to stay in the game and stay close and win it with a field goal in the 4th quarter, you know, you're not out of whack when all of a sudden your offense isn't doing anything. You don't get disturbed.
That's a tightrope that's hard to walk every single week in the SEC. On 3rd and 13, White rolling to the end zone for Reynard. Touchdown. So West Virginia shows they can also score through the air. Pat White to Darius Reynard, and it's 37-0.
Well, I would imagine that Adam Badnarik, the backup quarterback or the co-starting quarterback, is going to get a shot here in a little bit because we've seen Pat White now a couple of weeks in a row have outstanding performances, and he's just playing with confidence, isn't he? You can just see that whether he's running an option or he's throwing the football, he has confidence.
Every snap, he exudes it. Another extra point by McAfee. Pat White in just his 2nd start. Redshirt freshman from Daphne, Alabama. Gets better every series. So 38-0. West Virginia will go to 5-0 in the league, 8-1 overall. They were number 16 ranked coming in. South Florida, though, at 2-1, just one back in the loss column, and they still have a matchup out there to look forward to against West Virginia. It will be at South Florida on December 3rd. So South Florida still can say they control their own destiny, just as the Mountaineers do. West Virginia has the backyard brawl Thanksgiving night. Pittsburgh coming to Morgantown. And then the game that was postponed because of the hurricane, which, if everything holds, will decide the Big East.
When you talk about West Virginia and their remaining schedule, they have a tough game coming up when they have to deal with South Florida at South Florida. And of course, Pittsburgh, you can't discount them. You know, they're going to have their challenges, but they also are playing pretty dadgum good football right now.
Short return. Tony Carvetti. Reason South Florida controls its destiny. If they win out, that will also include, obviously, a win head-to-head over West Virginia. So if they're to tie with one loss apiece, winner of that game will own the tiebreaker. If it's 3 or more, then you go to the highest-ranked team, assuming one didn't meet the other two. And here's South Florida's remaining schedule. They have a game at the Carrier Dome, and then they have Cincinnati at home. They go to UConn. Not nearly the team they were in winning 9 games in the Motor City last year. And then the showdown with West Virginia, December 3rd. South Florida has done miraculous things in less than a decade of playing football. Reversing field here is Greg Moore. Lots of running around for a loss of 5 yards.
But you know what? South Florida in the showdown they'll have, I think it's good for the Big East. There's going to be a lot of attention on that game for that day, and the Big East title will come down to it. And so West Virginia's playing well. South Florida has a lot of talent, but South Florida's going to have to play a flawless game. You can't beat West Virginia if you turn it over.
Well, the other thing that you're going to have in that matchup, as Grutza fires complete to Jackson, is West Virginia, a team that at this point expects to win every game it plays, certainly the Big East. And South Florida, which is such a new program, that they hope to win, but it's hard to say they will expect to win. You know, they just haven't been in that position long enough to have built up that level of confidence.
And especially in a big game like that. You know, West Virginia deals with it and has dealt with it. And as long as they stay healthy. And the thing about West Virginia is Pat White gets better every week. Slayton gets better every week. That offensive line, the sink is there right now.
Those two already playing like fifth-year seniors. Doug Jones, a 282-pound fullback, barrels to the 31. And it'll be 4th and 5.
How much do you say, Wade?
282.
He just brought 285 to the game on this one here. Man, yo mama tell you to get lower. Man, you know what? That's a lot of biscuits you're trying to stop right there.
Well, he had a 97-pound advantage on Larry Williams, number 3. He just ran right over. Big body, and along with Brent Selleck, they say the softest hands on the team. Chet Irvin's punt. Returned by Antonio Lewis. 42 on the kick and 11 on the return.
All right, so we've talked about the Big East, and we've South Florida, West Virginia, and for the last couple of years, the big question around the country has been whether or not the Big East should qualify automatically for the BCS, right? And there's a ratings that's taking place right now and a ranking of each conference, and it's kind of crazy when you look at it, but it's simple when you kind of break it down and you look at the way it is. Through 09, we have the BCS. But it's really through 07 that the Big East is okay. They're fine for right now. It's going to be 08 and 09 that you have to kind of, show your moxie to stay in the deal. There's no guarantee the Big East will be in there in 08 and 09.
But right now the Big East gap over the conferences trying to catch them, the Mountain West, the Conference USAs, is big enough that they're solid in their current position. This is the senior defensive end, Adam Roberts, who took a knee. Senior who still plays on the punt coverage team. Injured right there. Lewis says he was falling to the turf. Adam Roberts from Midwood High School in Brooklyn. Enrollment 4,000. Out of 4,000 students, he said he and 25 others played football. 100 played basketball.
Man. And he's been a great leader for this team and all the young players on that defense.
Went to Milford Academy, then came here to Cincinnati. Learned from some NFL-bound defensive linemen last year, like Trent Cole of Now the Philadelphia Eagles, Andre Frazier, who's with the Steelers, Mike Wright with New England. Adam Roberts, their defensive coordinator, Pat Narduzzi, says is our babysitter because he's the senior out there with 5 freshmen starting on that side of the ball and has gone into the leadership role not just for the defense but the entire team.
You know what, the Big East, back to that conversation, for a while there I wasn't a big believer in the Big East, but Mike Tranghese, their commissioner, is an outstanding businessman, and he has put together good schools. And like we talked about with the facilities here at this school, they all can compete now for good top talent. And I do believe the Big East is better than the MAC, the WAC, and the Mountain West.
Slayton remains in, so does Pat White. Final 2 minutes of the third quarter. Well, they may never replace a Miami-level team, a Virginia Tech-level team, but in 5 years, where might Cincinnati be? Where might UConn be? Rutgers has shown so much promise this year. They're bowl eligible for the first time since 1978.
Yep. They've got a chance there. Like Ohio, with all the players here, New Jersey has a lot of players that Rutgers could go out and try to keep.
2nd and 6. Slayton taking a rare pounding. The BCS is contractually in place through 2009. Automatic bids for the 6 current conferences through 2007. All conferences are constantly being evaluated, and 5 to 7 will receive the automatic bids in the final 2 years of the current BCS contract.
Well, if the Big East continues to grow and do well and be strong, my guess is it's going to stay the same. Nothing will change. However, if they slip at all, then you'll see an automatic qualification there removed from them.
Slayton, first down to midfield.
Slayton with the carry.
2 games ago, 188 yards. This gets him to 127, 22 carries. 4 touchdowns.
And why is he in the game right now? You know, I guess maybe they're trying to give him through the third quarter to perhaps put some numbers up.
1st and 10 for West Virginia.
That's all you could think. Up 38-0. The touchdown record would seem, Holly, fairly unlikely at this point. 1st down and 10 from midfield. Slayton again knocked backwards.
I didn't hear what Dave said to me. Hey guys, one of the reasons Pat White is still in the game right now, you might be wondering why they're going with their starting quarterback at 38-0. Adam Bednarik, their co-quarterback, co-starter, has had a foot sprain. He's over here on the sideline in his warm-up jacket. Doesn't look like he's imminently coming in, but that might be one reason they're keeping him in at 38-0, guys.
Yep, Adam was set to go last week against UConn. He thought for maybe as many as 20 plays. There was no need. West Virginia won so easily. They're doing the same thing here tonight in Cincinnati. West Virginia 7 in the first, 21-0 at the half. They add 17 more in the third, and they start the fourth quarter in Bearcat territory, up 38-0. Excellent chance for their 3rd straight game, scoring in the 40s. On 2nd and 9, whistles and flags on the give from Pat White. Rich Rodriguez has mostly starters out there offensively, starting to filter in.
Prior to the snap, false start, number 88 on the offense, 5-yard penalty, remains 2nd down.
Second tight end Michael Villagrana starting to filter in some backups here and there, but White remains the quarterback. Slayton all the way at tailback, Schmidt all the way at fullback. So here's 2nd and 14, back in their own 46. White's only thrown it 12 times tonight. 7 of 12 for 100 yards and a touchdown. And Slayton gets body slammed. A most emphatic tackle thrown down here by Trevor Anderson, one of their true freshman starters. His 7th straight start. Every game since week 3. From Detroit, Anderson, Thomas Claggett, Terrell Byrd, all true freshmen starting on the defensive line. Corey Smith at linebacker and Mike Mickens at corner. The youngest defense in the country. 2 or 3 years from now, how good might that group be? Because they're all real promising players. Off tackle, not much. It'll be at the 47-yard line, 4th down for West Virginia.
And you know what? How good will they be? Every other week, they're pretty darn good. You know, that's just the case of being so young with so many guys out there that are young. And this is a heck of a game for Cincinnati to play against an offense that has a quarterback and a running back like they have at West Virginia. It's a challenge. It makes you better.
Brady gets off his best-looking kick of the night. Nice. Perfectly angled out at the 12-yard line. 41 yards. 13:41 to play. 38-0 for number 16, West Virginia. It's been a rough night for Dustin Grutson, the Bearcat offense. Backup quarterback Nick Davila warming up. Perhaps we will see him in the 4th quarter, but for now, it's still the redshirt freshman from Maysville, Kentucky, Dustin Grutson. And again, West Virginia stones the run. Let's send it down to Holland.
Well, I'm here with an all-time great here at Cincinnati, Gino Guidugli. Gino, you led your team to a win in the bowl game last year. Tell us what it's like for this young redshirt freshman, Dustin Grutz, out here tonight in a game like this.
You know, at this point in the game, you know, a lot of the players on the team might be getting down, but they're going to look for the quarterback for leadership. And, you know, when the score is 38-0, you got to. This is a time when you build character and, you know, build the leadership skills it's going to take to get back to a bowl game.
How hard is it when you're the quarterback, when you're surrounded by young guys, a lot of young faces on defense?
You know, I went through the same thing my sophomore year, and, you know, it's a step-by-step process that you just got to, you know, learn to live with, and, you know, day by day, practice by practice, you're getting better. So,
when you see this young quarterback after the game, what can you tell him as a guy that he's looking up to? You were an honorary captain tonight. How will you use your leadership still?
You know, I tried to talk to him throughout the game, and you know, just make him aware of what I'm seeing over here as a quarterback. You know, on the sideline, seeing what I see, and you know, just maybe hipping, you know, trying to tell him what I see from the sidelines, and hopefully, you know, I can help him in any way.
All right, Gino, you had some terrific days. You were also a little bit of a running quarterback, despite being a big guy. How have those skills helped you in the next level?
You know, Dustin's got better feet than I do, and, you know, he's doing some things out here that I never dreamed of doing quarterback, because I like to stay in the pocket. But, you know, it's definitely going to help you. At every level you go at, speed's always, you know, the #1 thing that you can't coach anybody on.
You were cut after the preseason by the Titans. You're still trying to get on with the team. What do you think you bring to the NFL if somebody's trying to look for that?
You know, I think I bring toughness and leadership to an NFL team, but you know, I'm going to keep working out, and hopefully when I get my opportunity, I take advantage of it.
All right, thanks very much. Gino Guidugli, great quarterback for Cincinnati.
Yep, all the records here at that position for the Bearcats. Not quite the first down, so on the 4th and 1 again. Jed Irvin forced to punt. Antonio Lewis reverses field, back the other way, and still on his feet near midfield. So a 48-yard kick, brought back 18 by Lewis. 11:20 to go at Nippert Stadium.
ESPN2's College Football Primetime is presented by the Nikon D50 Digital SLR. Incredible pictures made incredibly simple. And in part by Nissan, who invites you to shift the way you move through the world.
Great American Ballpark, home of the Cincinnati Reds. We're a few miles north at Nippert Stadium, and Adam Bednarik, the sophomore from Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, second cousin of NFL Hall of Famer Concrete Charlie, Chuck Bednarik, the tailback as well, Pernell Williams, from here in Ohio, sophomore from New Lebanon. So Bednarik in now, having had some time to nurse a sprained foot, which he suffered in the triple overtime win over Louisville. Still listed as a co-quarterback with White by Rich Rodriguez, but the last 2 weeks, Pat White really takes advantage of the opportunity he was given while Bednarik was on the mend. White tonight 7 of 12 through the air, 100 yards, a touchdown, no interceptions, and a career high on the ground, 111 yards on 8 carries. Williams will set up a 3rd and 2. Boy, in just 2 college starts, redshirt freshman Pat White, just like true freshman tailback Steve Slayton, looks like a 5th-year senior.
You know, and with his running ability, that opens up, obviously, a chance for the injury, right? So having Adam Bednarik and 2 quarterbacks gives you a comfort as the head coach. And this team needs 2 quarterbacks. And Rich Rodriguez said, you know, it's hard to rotate them, you know, but as long as we keep winning, I'll put them out there.
3rd and 3, and Williams is stopped a yard shy. Steve Slayton, 25 carries, 129 yards, 4 of the 5 West Virginia touchdowns.
I think it's that offensive line. West Virginia's, we've been talking a lot about Slayton, but that offensive line at West Virginia 2 weeks in a row has just, they paved the way for big runs up front.
Excellent point, because both White and Slayton had their choice of holds. White would fake on the option, fake a pitch to Slayton. Next thing you know, he's 20 yards into the secondary and hadn't been touched. Slayton had that luxury time after time as well tonight. So a hand for
Number
Garrett.
11 on the offense, 5-yard penalty, remains 4th down.
Garrett, Stanchik, Moses, Sheffy, and Justice, the offensive line for the Mountaineers. Another dominating performance by that group. Mountaineers have rushed for 278, thrown for right at 100.
Big fellas, they need some love. I'm glad you said their name.
Well, top rushing attack in the Big East Conference. And when you have the best running game and the best running defense, that's the combination every coach would love. That's what Rich Rodriguez has this year. So Bednarik on his first series sees a 3 and out. Phil Brady has put on a pretty good clinic of positional punting, preventing any chance of returns by Cincinnati. This one killed at the 12. 9:07 remaining, a 36-yarder, 38-0 Mountaineers. Slayton, originally slated to be a Maryland Terrapin until they canceled their scholarship offer to him, and West Virginia scrambled to pick up what the Terrapins probably wish they had a do-over on. He has run roughshod over the Big East after not gaining a single yard in 3 of his first 4 collegiate games. New quarterback in for Cincinnati. This is Nick Davila, junior transfer from Altaloma, California, Chaffee Junior College. He sees action for the 5th time this year after Dustin Grutza. It's 15 of 21, mostly for very short yardage, 110 yards and an interception.
You got papers blowing everywhere. Put some paperweights on that.
It's a windy night up here.
Yeah, let's get
this was a nice 70-degree day, headed down to the low 40s or below. Cincinnati, with 8:20 to go, hoping they can extend the drive and maybe break the schneid here.
Let's do it. Let's change gears a little bit here with this windy talk, and let's go to the Heisman. You know, we've jinxed a few people now with this midweek crew.
You know, it's really impossible to see who is going to get into the 4 and 5 slots to join this trio in New York, because you're really just filling out the roster. It has to be Young, Bush, or Leinart. And politically, I think if you analyze this, you have to expect that Bush and Leinart are going to split up a lot of the vote, especially out west, and Vince Young has got to benefit from that.
Well, you know, all 3 are very good football players, and at one time I had Leinart as the guy in the lead, and then it went to Bush. But I've been sold on Vince Young here for a few weeks, and I'm sticking with it. Unless he does something that's just goofy, I think it's Vince Young's. Now, the question is, I think, we're battling for who are the other 2 guys that maybe get an invitation to New York. And guys like Quinn, Brady Quinn, the quarterback at Notre Dame. He's had an outstanding season. How about Jeff Smartja, his wide receiver?
Real outside chance there. This is Greg Moore. Are you saying just how about him, or how about him to go to New York?
Well, I mean, you talk about college football's most outstanding players. You know, he's an outstanding player. When the ball is in his hands, he's making plays.
I don't know if they might not be better off just bringing 3. I mean, drop the pretense that 5 guys have a shot.
I think the programming, the producer, he's got a slot for 5 guests.
There'll be 5, but there'll be 2 just sitting there watching to see, along with the rest of us, which of the big 3 ends up winning it. Vince Young's already said he will come back next year for his senior year. Davila Keats is brought down at the line of scrimmage. It'll be 4th and 4. So if Vince Young were to win the Heisman, if Texas were to win the national championship, how many people do you think then try to get to Vince Young and say, look, you've done everything a college quarterback can do. Why are you coming back for 1 more?
I hope he would look at what Matt Leinart did. You know, and if you're a quarterback, I'm of the opinion you stay in school and get as many snaps and reads as you can get as a quarterback. You're not going to, if you get hurt, it's just the way it is. You know what? How many times do you see somebody get hurt where it's a career-ending injury? A quarterback.
And insurance.
Yeah, get you an insurance policy.
Policies are so commonplace now. Texas just does not lose players early out of Mack Brown's program. Ricky Williams set the tone when Mack Brown first took that job, came back, won the Heisman his senior year.
Yeah, good example.
Well, what a matchup tomorrow night out west. Boise State, Fresno State for WAC supremacy at Fresno, the number 20 team in the country. College football primetime presented by Cooper Tires, 8 Eastern. ESPN HD will have it in high definition. Coverage begins at 7:30, 4:30 Pacific with College Game Day. Outstanding quarterbacks, Jared Abramski, Paul Penninger head-to-head.
But that seems like a long time ago when we did Boise and Fresno. This season has flown by.
Even then, though, you could tell it was going to come down to those 2 in the Western Athletic Conference. Second series for Adam Bednarik at quarterback, Pernell Williams at tailback. West Virginia.
All right, let's stay on the tour here. We just hit the Heisman bus. Now let's jump off and let's go talk a little Big Ten football. You're talking about a storyline. Joe Paterno and staying the course, and all of the talk and all of the questioning about his ability to be to bring his team back. And here's Penn State heading towards a Big Ten title.
No contest last week in their showdown with Wisconsin. To the air. Vaughn Rivers finds a cutback angle and has a first down in Cincinnati territory. The Big Ten's spot in the BCS. You got the All-State BCS standings there, and you got Penn State at number 5, second-ranked team with a loss, and then you got Ohio State with 2 losses at number 8.
You know, look at Virginia Tech sitting in there at number 6. I think there's a chance if LSU were to win out to go up and bypass Virginia Tech.
But you've already said that's not going to happen. Alabama's going to beat LSU, and so much for that.
Now,
you're not backing off.
But no, now's the time for me to start, couching it and put some,
waffling. Backing off. Pernell Williams.
But the Big Ten, it's one of those conferences this year where you've really never known which team was going to show up. There's a lot of balance up there. Penn State's young guys have come out and they've made some plays. Their defense is excellent. Ohio State's a good football team.
How about Robinson maybe outside shot for that trip to New York?
No.
Nope.
No.
Well, who's done more for his program?
Him or Jeff Smartja? We were talking about Notre Dame.
Williams bounces off the pile. And every Mountaineer continues to play the way Rich Rodriguez continues to coach, as if it were nothing to nothing down to Holly.
Well, guys, you're talking about Penn State and their resurgence in the Big Ten this year. I had a chance to do that Penn State-Ohio State game, and after the game, I asked Joe Paterno, does a win like this mean Penn State's back? And he had a very interesting answer. He said, Holly, I'm not sure we ever left. He really thought all these years that they were down, that they had good football players, they just had to put it together. And this year they've finally done it. Penn State, he thinks, never went anywhere.
And I think that was the same interview, Holly, where you asked him about vindication or whatever, and he said, I don't ever have to, qualify myself to anybody, fans or media.
Jopa's a little bit beyond playing that game at this point.
Yeah, but they were gone, Holly. I do feel like Penn State was gone, off the radar, and this was a humongous turnaround for Joe Paterno and his football team, and the recruits that he's been able to bring in there and the way he's coached them up, I admire him.
Timeout call with 3:01 to go by Cincinnati.
And you know what? And I was one of those that was also in Joe Paterno's camp. I never said that Joe Paterno should leave. I always said he has earned the right to stay and decide when he leaves. However, now that he's doing what he's doing and the success he's having, you kind of think, hey, okay, Joe, you're back on top. Maybe take a bus ride and go on.
No one thought anybody could coach into his 70s the way Jopa has. His 80s? Is that even an outside possibility?
He's looked the same since when I was playing.
He still looks 55 years old.
1982 when he stole the national championship from SMU and us, he's looked the same. He's got the same wardrobe, same walk, same pair of glasses on. His style has changed a little bit. His coaching staff, I'll tell you what really impressed me this year. Joe Paterno allowed his entire staff to go spend a full week with the University of Texas and their coaching staff, and they talked football. To me, that's sharing ideas. That's changing with time, and that says a whole lot. There are a lot of coaches out there who can't change. They don't want to change. They think their system is the way. You have to be willing to listen and learn, or you're going backwards.
After the timeout, 4th and 2. Bill Brady. Another chance to pin the Bearcats deep. They have lived on this end of the field. And again, Brady rolls this one out at the 10. Superb directional play. Northwestern, fresh off a last-minute come-from-behind win over Iowa. And they go to Columbus now for their showdown this Saturday. ABC has it at noon Eastern. Wildcats have a chance for the first time since 62 and 63 to beat the Buckeyes back-to-back. And Ohio State hasn't lost in Columbus to the Wildcats in the last 14 trips.
You did Iowa Northwestern last week, right?
Right.
Don't you think that Ohio State's sitting there telling their team, you better play the entire 4 quarters?
If there was ever a complacent Buckeye bone on that roster, if they saw the last 4 minutes of the Wildcats and the Hawkeyes, that should no longer be a worry. Daniels takes it out of bounds, stops the clock. Northwestern with a touchdown, a return of an onside kick, and then another touchdown all in the last 2:46 to beat Iowa 28-27 and eliminate Iowa from the Big Ten race and keep themselves in. The 2005 Sony Ericsson WTA Championships coming up when we finish up here on ESPN2. 2:45 remaining. West Virginia about to move to 5-0 in conference play and 8-1 overall. Getting loose over the middle. Finally a big gainer. Cincinnati, Derrick Ross out of bounds at the 41 for 25 yards. They went the entire first half without a single gain of 10 yards. And now trying to avoid its first shutout in a little over 7 years.
I guarantee you, D'Antonio wasn't expecting this kind of performance tonight. He knew he was playing a good team, and he has a young team. And early on, they'll go back and they'll look at the film and they'll say, guys, just a few inches here and there, there's a different score at halftime.
Nick Davila protected long enough to heave one deep for Jackson, but it is picked off. Abraham Jones with the second West Virginia interception of the night. Jones, the backup to Jamal Adai at free safety.
4 turnovers, and a lot of those turnovers just the result of outstanding play. West Virginia's defense, there's a lot of pride on this unit right now, and while Cincinnati's trying to score to avoid being shut out since '98 for the first time, West Virginia's defense on the other side looking to keep that goose egg on the scoreboard.
And with 2 more Bearcat timeouts, 2:25 remaining. Bednarik and the offense back out there to try and run out the remainder. And they start again with the give to Pernell Williams, the sophomore from New Lebanon, Ohio. 4 Cincinnati turnovers, 17 Mountaineer points off those giveaways.
What conference have we not talked about tonight now? Have we emptied the bucket?
The Sun Belt is still out there to be dissected.
Yeah, your North Texas football team's a little bit in the tank. We can't go there.
Have you picked the MAC? Williams for a couple. The fun thing about watching both these teams is projecting ahead, because you don't have to say in 2 years they're going to be good. In 2 weeks they're going to be a lot better than they are right now, because they're a lot better than they were 2 games ago. Both these teams. Cincinnati hasn't really shown it today because West Virginia is so far ahead of them in their talent base and their experience, even though they've got so much youth at key positions like quarterback and tailback. They're not out there starting 5 freshmen on defense, as Cincinnati continues to do. But Cincinnati, by the end of this year, and once they get if they get a bowl and all those extra practice sessions leading into the postseason, even if they don't, Mark D'Antonio's got a base set now, and he's got so many young players with so many snaps that it's almost hard to still be calling them true freshmen now 9 games into their season.
Yeah, before this runs out, you mind if I leave you with this thought? What happens if, and it's very possible, USC loses, Texas loses to a good, solid Kansas defense, or in the Big 12 championship.
Very possible?
Could have
that. Very possible?
Well, it could. Hang with me here. We're working on something.
Almost impossible.
Well, see, I'm just trying to give you some thought. And Alabama loses, which you think they're going to have happen. Now, which once-beaten teams deserve a shot to play in the BCS championship game?
You have officially emptied your bag.
I've saved the bucket, baby. I just threw it out the window.
0.1% chance of both of those happening.
USC could lose. Texas could lose. Colorado, it is an eerie resemblance to Texas and Colorado several years ago. Mac Brown thought he had it done. They whipped Colorado.
That's a different discussion. You're talking about this week, I thought. Can they both lose this week?
No, not this week. Before it's all over with.
Yeah, that's more worth discussion.
So now it's come back up as...
Now it's an outside possibility.
Oh, okay. I'm glad you're back in the race. But it could happen.
Yeah, if it comes down especially to Texas, Colorado, how many words will be written about the 2001 Big 12 title game? Texas had beaten Colorado 41-7. Looked like they were going to blow them out again at Texas Stadium. And then Chris Sims started throwing it to the Buffaloes, and they ended up losing 39-37 when they had a berth waiting for them in the Rose Bowl to play Miami for the national title.
And then they went to the Holiday Bowl and got ripped. Yeah, I mean, you can never make anything a guarantee.
Final seconds here at Nippert Stadium. And the catch at midfield stops the clock at 14 seconds. And Quan Giddens. So West Virginia will improve to 8-1, 5-0 in the Big East. Huge night for Pat White. Throws for 100, runs for a career-high 111. Slayton, 129 on the ground and 4 touchdowns.
You know, I got to share with you, our producer Bart Fox just said something that was pretty funny to me. You know, we're up here like, sounds like talk radio. Go ahead, caller. You're next. We got Mike and Mike in the morning. We got Dave and Craig at night.
For maybe 2 more snaps anyway. Davila looking downfield and a little bit behind his target that time. Intended for Derek Ross, in time probably for one last shot to end this shutout.
And a friend of ours, producer Jimmy Zarola, we wish him well with his arm recovery. Had a little surgery. We hope he's doing well. And
yep,
Brad Sheldon in the truck directing. You know that he's pushed a few buttons tonight, called on some stuff. Hope he's doing well.
Recovering from his experience with Bart, you mean? Yeah, quick recovery for Jimmy Z. Look forward to seeing you back real quick from surgery. Second down with 7 seconds to go. Davila will throw the Hail Mary. And at the 5-yard line, it is caught on the final play of the game. So West Virginia shuts out Cincinnati behind Pat White and Steve Slayton, 38-0. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. For Craig James and Holly Rowe, Dave Barnett, back to